What's good, y'all? My name is Vic, and you're watching Heat Checks with Vic. And today I'm going to be going over the NBA 2021 playoffs, first round to be exact. And I'm going to be offering my predictions for the first round, as well as brief analyses for each team, such as how they match up and what players to watch on each team in each series. So let's get right into it, y'all. So starting with the Western Conference, first round, we got the Jazz versus the Warriors/Grizzlies. Now, at the time I filmed this video, the Warriors-Grizzlies game hasn't happened yet. I think the Warriors are going to pull through. I think Curry is going to light up the Grizzlies and send the Grizzlies packing with the 9th seed. But if some way the Grizzlies win tonight and the Warriors are sent home packing, I still think the Jazz are going to come out of the first round. For consistency's sake, as well as, just me assuming, Warriors win tonight, I'm picking the Jazz to win in 5. And reason being is plain and simple. Jazz are a more complete team. They have a better bench. They have a overall better team defense and team offense. And I think, Quinn Snyder, the coach of the Jazz, his defensive and offensive schemes, they're going to find ways to shut down the Warriors offense and really, run circles around the Warriors. And I picked Jazz in 5 because I think Curry is going to go off one of these games and steal a game from the Jazz. But the rest of those games, the Jazz are going to win. So the players to watch for this series, actually, I picked 2 for the Jazz. Usually, for the rest of the matchups, I'll pick 1 player from each team. But for the Jazz, it's 2. Mike Conley, basically to see how he'll match up against Steph Curry, how he's going to guard the perimeter and neutralize the Warriors' half-court offense. And, just how he's going to play on the defensive end. And the second player to watch for the Jazz is Donovan Mitchell. This guy is coming back from injury. It's yet to be confirmed if he's even coming back in game 1. And it could be a good way to predict how, it'd be interesting to see in this series how Mitchell is going to perform. Is he going to, be the guy that we saw pre-injury where he'd, make consistent perimeter shots and, make acrobatic finishes at the rim? I love Mitchell, so I hope he comes back to form. And if he comes back to form this series, I see no way the Warriors they're going to come out of this one. And the player to watch from the Warriors, Steph Curry, bro. He's a scoring machine, and he's just gonna the whole Warriors offense runs through him. And there are other offensive players like Wiggins and Draymond and Oubre and the like. But I picked Curry because I want to see how he's going to perform against such a defense. It's like arguably the number 1 ranked defense in the league. So he's a player to watch this series for the Warriors, I think, pretty evidently. Next series we got is the Suns versus the Lakers. Man, Suns fans, I know this is a series that you all were looking forward to, but for a lot of y'all, not something you were looking forward to so early. A lot of y'all were saying, this was supposed to be like a semifinal round or Western Conference final round, but not a first round matchup. A lot of bad blood the Suns have for the Lakers. If y'all remember playoff history or in the past, 2010 Western Conference Finals, Amari Stoudemire and Nash versus Kobe and Gasol, and the Suns just couldn't pull through in six games against the Lakers, and the Lakers went on to win their back-to-back NBA championship. And so that's why I'm going to side with the Suns here. I picked the Suns in 7. I think just that, revenge atmosphere, as well as CP3 is just going to be hungry for a chip and Devin Booker being that other guy hungry for a chip, and just how complete of a team the Suns are, that I think the Suns can pull through and go toe-to-toe and will out against the Lakers in 7 games. The players to watch for this series for the Suns is Chris Paul. In summary, how is he going to facilitate plays? And how, against one of the top 3 ranked defenses in the league, against a team, where we may get a healthy Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis's health is in question mark. And LeBron, playoff LeBron's a different beast, as we've all seen literally the past decade. So, it's gonna be a tough matchup, but I think Chris Paul is gonna be that X factor guy that will pull the Suns through past the first round. Player to watch on the Lakers side is Anthony Davis. I picked AD because it's interesting to see how he'll match up against DeAndre Ayton, both defensively and offensively, seeing as how, Ayton is he's 24, 25-ish years old. He's very mobile, he's athletic, he's got quick feet, he's agile. I love the guy. And how he's going to match up against AD. And, just a question mark about AD's health. And it's just going to be a really fun matchup. It's going to be a really fun series just to see, Chris Paul versus LeBron and AD versus Ayton. I'm stoked for this. So coming up, next up we got the Clippers versus the Mavericks. And Luka, man. And I'm not speaking. Oh, I am speaking of Luka Doncic, but I'm referring to a different Luka. Luka Brozano, Raps fan guy, my guy. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to pick the Mavericks in 7, bro. I know you picked the Clippers to come out of the West, and it might be the Clippers' year. You actually picked the Nets to win the NBA Finals this year, but man, I don't know, man. If I had to pick an upset out of the Western Conference, I would say the Mavericks would be that upset team. I just feel like, if you remember from the 2020 playoffs, everyone counted the Mavericks out. They said, oh, the Clippers are going to sweep them in 4 games. Mavericks may steal a game, because Luka Doncic. Nah, bro, without Kristaps Porzingis, because Porzingis had that meniscus tear that left him out of the first round in the 2020 bubble. I think the Mavericks are going to, just with Luka Magic and Tim Hardaway Jr., just hitting his shot and potentially seeing a healthy Porzingis, we might see an upset, y'all. I think we're going to see an upset. And, well, let me get into players to watch, and I'll get a little more into that. So players to watch for this series is, on the Clippers side, Kawhi Leonard. How is he going to play his two-way game? This guy has been fairly inconsistent this regular season, playing on both ends of the floor. And how he's going to match up against Luka. If you can shut down Luka and, get him into foul trouble, if Kawhi finds a way to get Luka into early foul trouble or to draw technical fouls on Luka, then that basically shuts down 90% of the Mavericks offense. And if you do that, it's going to be really tough for the Mavericks to come out of this one. So that's why I picked Kawhi to be the guy to watch. And also just looking at how, he's going to perform on both ends of the floor. So on the Mavericks side, I picked Kristaps Porzingis, not Luka Doncic. Kristaps Porzingis to be the guy to watch this series. And I picked him because he hasn't been really playing to form this regular season. People are saying that he may be playing injured, or he just had a fluke season when he was on the Knicks, and he's a turnstile on defense and all that stuff. But I want to see how he does in a playoff series, and how he protects the rim, and how he comes to form in the playoffs. Is he going to be like a Jokic light that passes the ball and plays like a point center, and is like a guy that can make buckets and finish at the rim and clean up with putbacks and whatnot? So I think Porzingis is going to be that guy that, if he plays at least a little bit to form and he stays healthy this series, I think the Mavericks have a good shot. I think they have a good shot to win this series. Next series we got is the Nuggets versus the Blazers. And Stephen A. Smith and some ESPN analysts like him are picking this to be the upset series. They're picking the Blazers to win out against the Nuggets. Stephen A. said that, don't count out Dame, or, some analysts have said, don't count out Dame and whatnot. And that's fair. I think just looking at how Dame and just how, gotta commend, give claps to the Blazers to come out of the, being a play-in team to securing the 5th seed. That's very late in the season. That's, gotta commend them for that. However, I'm picking the Nuggets to come out of this in 5 games, maybe even 6. I picked 5 because I think the Nuggets, they just match up fairly well against the Blazers, and I think Jokic is going to find his groove offensively against the Blazers. But the player to watch here, and this is really key, and I think people should pay more attention to him overall, in the future, next season as well. It's Michael Porter Jr., man. Very underrated defender in the perimeter, and he has a really long arms. He can, he's like a KD light. He has a really long wingspan, has a pretty great jump shot for him, and I think perimeter defense, if he plays well and he consistently makes perimeter shots and sub mid-range shots, I think he can be the reason why the Nuggets pull through in 5 games, especially since the Blazers have a pretty below average defense. The player to watch for the Blazers is, plain and simple, Damian Lillard. Dame time. Are we going to get Dame time that we saw a glimpse of early in the season when Dame was on the scoring leaders ladder, trading places with Curry, and Beal? Then he got hurt, and he was playing through injury and just wasn't playing to form. So I picked him to watch to see if maybe in the playoffs we'll get him back into scoring form. Hitting, getting the spacing he needs to hit shots from half court or from the logo. And yeah, I think if we get like OKC, this Dame, the Dame time, or even when he eliminated the Rockets in I think it was the semifinals, I think they're going to create some problems for the Nuggets. So yeah, Damian Lillard in general, it's a big question mark. So moving into the Eastern Conference first round, I'm going to start off with the Sixers versus the Wizards. Before I get into that, got to commend the Wizards, man. They went from being a bottom of the barrel team, struggling with injuries and just not being able to find their groove, to securing the 8th seed, this series, or in the play-in. I think, and it pains me to say this, I don't think they're going to beat the Sixers in in the series. I think the Sixers are going to beat them in 5 games. Reason being is the Sixers have a better, like, an offense to go through the Wizards defense. The Wizards don't really have a really good defense, honestly. And I think Doc is just going to coach circles around, man, I don't even know the Wizards coach, bro. Like, it pains me. I mean, no offense to the guy. The guy's probably a nobody. I just think Doc is just going to coach circles around the Wizards, and it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think he's going to get a triple-double or 2. You know, he may get a triple-double to will the Wizards to a win, but other than that, he may get like a meaningless triple-double that will go towards a Wizards loss. Players to watch for this series: Ben Simmons. A lot of Sixers fans have complained about Simmons. You know, some people say that, like, oh, you know, he's not aggressive and he's soft and whatnot. So I put a question mark on him. Is what kind of Ben are we going to see in this series? Are we going to get aggressive Ben, or are we going to get passive Ben? You know, the aggressive Ben that, like, attacks the paint and draws fouls and, you know, creates plays for his teammates, and on defensive end, you know, was you know, deflecting passes and getting steals. You know, that kind of aggressive Ben. So if Ben stays consistently like that this series and throughout the playoffs, oh man, the Sixers are gonna be a scary team, bro. They're gonna be a scary team in the postseason. A player to watch for the Wizards, man, Bradley Beal. I mean, he just came back from an injury in the Celtics, in the play-in game against the Celtics. And he just recovered from a hamstring injury, or he may still be recovering from a hamstring injury. So the question arises is, will he return to form, like, after sustaining that injury and coming back from that injury? You know, we get the Bradley Beal that puts up like 30 plus points and consistently does so, like, gets buckets on the Sixers. And if that does happen, and, you know, Russ just gets, you know, near triple doubles, they might get like 2 games out of the Sixers, but it's going to be a really, really strong hill to climb for the Wizards to come out and beat the Sixers. I don't think the Wizards are going to come out the first round, honestly. It's going to suck, but going to have to pick the Sixers here. The second matchup we got is the Nets versus the Celtics. I'm going to say it plain and simple, y'all. The Nets are going to run the table on the Celtics. The Celtics dealt with a lot of struggles in the regular season, you know, with Tatum coming down with COVID, other players coming down with COVID, Jaylen Brown getting injured late in the season, and Marcus Smart just not being consistent offensively, Kemba probably playing through injury. So I think through those problems alone, like, they can't be addressed game, like, days leading up to the game or throughout a playoff series. That's something that needs to be addressed, and that can only be addressed in the offseason. And for that reason, or that set of reasons, I'm picking the Nets to beat the Celtics in 4. Also because the Nets just have a ton of firepower that the Celtics defense just can't keep up with. Players to watch for the series: James Harden. That guy he's really surprised me in how he's, you know, facilitated passes and, you know, just made these, like, threading the needle passes for his teammates, and just being, you know, like a true point guard in that regard for the Nets. And player to watch for the Celtics is Jason Tatum. Again, you know, this guy, he's commented on COVID, and having to condition himself to play through, I think in some games he said he literally had to have an inhaler and take puffs of middle of games, like when he's sitting on the bench. Like, man, it's gotta be tough. And I want to see like how he performs if he's still feeling the effects of COVID, or recovering from COVID through there, as well as the comments about Tatum being a ball hog. I mean, a lot of games he'll just go for these like ultra contested like fadeaway jump shots that just end up being bricks, and just instead of passing the ball out to Kemba or to Smart or even Fournier, who's like been doing really well on the Celtics, he'll just take the hardest way out to get a bucket, or to try and get a bucket. Next series we got is the Bucks versus the Heat, and this is my personal upset. A little biased, but hear me out on this. I'm picking the Heat to win in 6. Y'all remember in the playoffs last year? A lot of y'all remember. A lot of people remember. The Heat beat the Bucks in 5 games, and reason being is that Coach Bud, he just ran the offense through Giannis, and if you shut down Giannis, the whole Milwaukee offense just collapses, and they just dribble into the paint, and they didn't have a point guard to create opportunities to score or to really create an offense for his teammates. Cough, cough, Eric Bledsoe. No, but I think they addressed the issue, at least on the defensive side, the defensive guard side. Drew Holiday, the guy, he's one of the best defenders, top 10, maybe top 15 defenders in the league. So I think he's going to perform pretty well defensively against the Heat. But the biggest thing that I'm really want people to pay attention to, I want to pay attention to, is not his defense, and he's my player to watch for Milwaukee, is how he's going to run the Milwaukee offense. I mean, he's shown like opportunities to I think one game this season he scored like 30 points a game, but how is he going to make assists for when Giannis gets shut down, and needing that other facilitator and bucket getter and offensive piece, other than just Chris Middleton, passing the ball to Chris Middleton. Like, if Drew Holiday can be that guy to pass the ball out to Middleton or to space out the floor for Giannis, then the Bucks are going to be a tough team to beat. I think not just against the Heat, they're going to be a tough team for the Heat to beat, but also for like other teams as well. Player to watch for the Heat, my take is Bam Adebayo, kind of similar to Ben Simmons. Are we going to get aggressive Bam that attacks the paint and is a point center that the primary ball handler on the floor, creates plays for teammates, pulls up from mid-range, that kind of Bam? Or are we just going to get passive Bam that just hands off the ball to Duncan or to Kendrick or Dragic and, just stands like a statue in the perimeter and lets athletic forwards or quick guards run through and get easy layups? So that's why I picked Bam to be the guy to watch. And there are other players I think that I'm going to be personally watching on my stream tomorrow as the Heat take on the Bucks in Game 1 to kick off the series. But yeah, Bam is going to be my player to watch the most throughout the series. And lastly, to wrap up the first round of the NBA playoff, got the Knicks versus the Hawks. And for the Knicks versus the Hawks, I picked the Knicks to win in 6. And I picked them in 6 because I think the Knicks just, they have the defense that matches up really, really well against the Hawks. I think Coach Tibbs, he's going to push the Knicks really far, maybe even Eastern Conference Finals. If, I think that's going to be their ceiling. But I'll get more into that if the Knicks even make it to the, how far, it depends on how they perform in the first round and the semis. I'll get more of a developed take or refined take as we move forward. But I digress. The Knicks just have a really strong and stark pick and roll defense that, the Hawks, if you watch a lot of their offense, a lot of it is just offenses run through the pick and roll through Trey and John Collins and Bogdan, Gallinari, and Capella. So just thinking about those kind of players and the personnel that the Knicks have, with Elfrid Payton and Nerlens Noel, Derrick Rose, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle, I think just the Knicks defense is going to neutralize the Hawks offense, and it's going to lead to Knicks victory in the series. So the players to watch for the series for the Knicks is Nerlens Noel, and I picked him because just his pivotal role in guarding the ATL's, pick and roll, potent pick and roll that makes the Hawks the top 3 ranked offense in the league, or top 5 ranked offense in the league. And just if you watched a lot of Knicks games this season, just how the Knicks guards trap the opposing guard on double team or baits the opposing guard to drive to the paint, and then Noel or another big man is guarding the paint, and it leads to them running into a brick wall and creating a block or a deflection or steal and whatnot. So I think Noel is going to be that guy to look out for, and how he matches up against Capella and Collins as well. And for the Hawks, I picked the player to watch that I picked is Bogdan Bogdanovic. This guy has been doing really well. He's been balling out the past month and a half, just consistently scoring, getting 3-ball through, pulling up and getting assists, key assists for his team. The dude's underrated. I love the guy. And if he can keep to form in the playoffs, the Hawks are going to be a scary team, offensive team to face in the playoffs if they will out against the Knicks. So anyways, guys, that is my first video going through the NBA 2021 playoffs. I'm going to be going over predictions for the semifinals once the first round is all wrapped up. But in the meantime, let me know of your thoughts, your takes down in the comments. Let me know what you think of my upset predictions, my analyses, if you think my take is dumb or whatnot. And don't forget to comment, and subscribe, and be on the lookout for my stream tomorrow as the Heat take on the Bucks. I'm not going to be showing the actual game on the stream. I'm just going to be offering a play-by-play commentary, so don't miss out on that. All right, have a good one, y'all. Peace.